Hi, my name is Dr. Ben Newman, and I study coronaviruses. Let's try and answer your questions. All right, next question is from Hazel. How you doing, Hazel? Let's see. Quick question. If you've had COVID-19, produced antibodies, and now your antibodies are gone, presumably I'm left with some sort of T-cell defense. Yes, we think so. And so in that case, would having the vaccine be advisable? Super yes. Let me say why. So if you already have some sort of defense against the vaccine, will it cause any sort of issue? None that I can think of except really good immunity. Yeah. Hope that makes sense. Thank you. Yeah. So if you are one of the, I guess lucky people who has already had this terrible virus, the most recent data that we have is that there are fairly long-lived T cell and memory B cell responses. Now, the T cells don't look very much like the ones that you get when you are in the midst of an infection. So there's some question as to whether or not they are really doing the right thing, but there may be ways to retune and reprogram these. It's got sort of the right combination, but it's making the wrong signals and responding to the wrong signals, if that makes sense. The memory B cells look like memory B cells from a nice paper by a guy called Shane Crody, who I was going to say is my boy Shane Crody, but he doesn't know that he's my boy. I've just read and admired quite a few of his papers. Anyway, those were around for at least 6 months, and I think that was as far as they had the data, but the memory B cells seem to be relatively stable. So whereas the antibodies go down, 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 the cells that were capable of waking back up and making the antibodies were just hanging around at a fairly constant level. Similar with T cells, they went down a little bit, but there were still plenty of them there in the average person after 6 months. So, for the lucky people that already have some pre-existing immunity to this thing, what you are getting when you get a vaccine is really, you're getting a booster. Yeah. And whereas the average citizen of the world only is going to get one booster, so they'll give you the vaccine, that's your first vaccination. And then, it's usually 3 weeks later, I think, they'll give you the vaccine again, same dose, same everything, and that's called a booster. And what that does is it increases the amount of antibody, it increases the T-cell response. These things will go through the roof. You may get like 1,000 times as much after the boost compared to what you had before the boost. So, yeah, so it seems to work. In your case, you've already got a little bit of pre-existing immunity, and so what you're getting is a double boost. And so you are going to be boosted all the way up. In general, more boosters, eventually you run out of effect. They stop doing anything, but it's not like they make anything bad happen that I've seen. You just get a lot of immunity against this one thing, and right now, if there's one thing in the world you want to have a lot of immunity against, I would say it is SARS-CoV-2. Yeah, that really makes sense to me, and I think that is a very good idea. So, yeah, I hope my response made sense. But I think you've got both various kinds of T cells. So if you're into all this stuff, the T cells look a bit like what we would call Th2 cells, although that's kind of a squishy term anyway. But they are going to be sort of pushing your body to make antibodies, and they're going to be trying to kind of gently turn off a couple other kinds of cells. That seems to be the big population you have that are long-term survivors, and the memory B cells are just there. They are just saying, just give me a little sign that you want me to make some antibodies, and I'm going to make antibodies for you, boss, because, yeah, I think you're great. That is basically what your B cells are saying. So, there you go. I think it would be ideal to get the vaccine if you've already got some immunity, and you know what? If your immunity happens to have waned and got nothing, you didn't lose anything, you just gain a new wave of immunity, and you've actually got another chance. You may be able to make different antibodies, different T cells, different B cells against the vaccine than you made during the original response, because some of the signals around it are going to be different. Yeah, in general, just a real good idea. All right, thanks very much. That's good enough for this one. This has been Ask Dr. Ben.